Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Are you ready to pop your cork? In the left corner at 6'4", 242 pounds, with a record of 45-0, the undisputed.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Will.
Hey, how many bottles of wine have you had?
Well, Will, it's not the wine. I'm just so excited about the podcast.
Yeah, I am too. This is not a boxing match. This is We Know Texas Vino.
Salute.
Salute. You know, we're sitting out here in a very nice place, Robert, and thank you for coming out here and helping out. Obviously, I got to losing my voice here a little bit. So tell everybody where we're at today.
Well, we are at, We Know Texas Vino, everybody knows that. We are at 3p's in a Vine. We're in Athens, Texas. Really neat, eclectic little place with a log cabin tasting room. And before we go any further, I just want to say this is episode 62, which is a milestone in any kind of venue like this. And we've got Brett with us. He's going to tell us what's going on here in a little bit. We're sampling some wines. He brought some out here.
Yeah, tell us what we're drinking right now.
Yeah, please.
Or
Brett.
what we will be drinking.
Well, I brought everything out pretty much. You already had the Porch Swing, which is one of our blends that we do with our Blanc de Bois that we're very proud of.
Which is really amazing.
Well, good. And I think that our new one's going to even be better. I'm anxious to give you a taste out of the tank here in a bit. Then you got a sample of our Blanc de Bois, just straight single varietal. That one we're very proud of. That's a Pinot Gris style. It's been my to-go-to in the summertime for sure on that.
It's very nice.
Very nice and crisp. Then the next one, I believe, we have a Chardonnay. Mm-hmm. That's the only one right now that we currently source our grapes from somewhere other than Texas on that, because we just can't get the Chardonnays.
Right.
So we're hoping there gets to be more growers in Texas on Chardonnay.
I can give you a winery.
So
I can give you a winery who makes some really great Chardonnays.
Yeah, but will they sell any of their grapes?
You never know until you ask, right?
Yep, that's true.
I personally was trimming those vines myself this year.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Yeah. See, we started out the very first year with a Texas Chardonnay, and it was fantastic. After that, we've not been able to source any Chardonnay from Texas. Okay. So it's really hard for us to get. So that one is actually outside of Texas. It's from Washington on the one that we're tasting now. Then the next one that you're going to get a try is our Plush. It's a rosé, which we ended up doing something a little bit different than what I was expecting, but we did Blanc de Bois and Black Spanish. And I'm not a big Black Spanish fan, but we masked that flavor pretty well, but it made a great blend for a rosé. So we call that our Plush.
Interesting. I would have never thought done a Black Spanish with Blanc de Bois.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to try that.
Well, you're going to get a chance. And I hope you're as excited about trying it as once you try it that you're going to like it that much.
I'm always excited.
All right. Well, that's good. And then we're going to get to our big reds, and that's what we're really excited about too, with our Cab Franc right now, which unfortunately we're about 5 bottles from selling out of our gold medal award winner. So, but we have an awesome one following it coming up. So you'll get to try that one as well.
Awesome.
I have a bottle open. Then you're going to get to try our Tempranillo. Tempranillo is this Tempranillo that we just released. Probably one of the best Tempranillos we've ever had.
Really?
And excited for you to try that and see what you think. And then a Tempranillo Reserve. And then after that, I'm going to fill you in on or let you try my port or my fortified wine.
I forgot to bring cigars.
I could probably find a couple here. I think I have a whole box of them. So,
well, I will say this. So all these are Monaster Chardonnay. All these are estate.
No, we do not grow all of them here. We do get them from Texas, other than from the most of our grapes we source from the Binghams out in West Texas.
I know Marissa and Betty and Cliff.
Cliff, oh my gosh,
great people.
He's one of the best grape growers that I'm aware of.
He is.
We've always had great product from him. So
yeah,
I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
That is just fantastic. You know, we were here scouting the place out for you, so to speak, and everything he said about what we tried out, man, and of course, you know, they have the pizzas.
Oh, yeah. Uncle's Pizzas, by the way.
Oh, he's the best.
We got to name drop that one.
Yeah.
So,
but it's a really great place, and it's very fantastic.
Yeah. So real quick before we get going any further than that, so we're going to say right now, you can find us on Facebook, We Know Texas Vino, and then also We Know Texas Vino.wine. And I recently just got We Know TexasVino.com. Also, so now you can actually go find us on both locations instead of just one. And then also find us on any podcasting platform out there. And when you find us out there, give us a 5-star rating. And tell us what we're doing right, what you love about the show, or just say hi to us. We love any kind of comments that are out there. And then outside of that, I think we're...
Oh, yeah. Will's making a face on this one, so go ahead.
Okay, so this is that Black Spanish Blanc de Bois Rosé.
Yes.
I mean, if people could see my face right now, holy cow.
It blew my mind when we started playing with it. We actually started out, instead of using the Blanc de Bois, we put in Pinot Gris with it, and it was fantastic. It was really dry, and then we decided to switch over on the second version of it and use Blanc de Bois with it, and it just blew our socks off. I mean, the taste and the finish, everything was fantastic. So we're looking for it to be our big drinker this summer.
That's a man. Imagine if my taste buds were actually really working and not all this congestion going on here. Holy cow! So, well, you're listening to We Know Texas Vino, episode 62. We are at a beautiful place called 3p's in a Vine in Athens, Texas, and we are sitting here with Brett Presley.
Yeah.
So, everybody has a story. Okay, so what's your story?
Yeah.
How did you get into this point right here?
Oh my gosh! I don't want to bore you. I'm going to make this. I'm going to make this the condensed version.
We can edit. So
but okay, okay. Here we go. So I'm originally from Iowa. I had a practice marriage up in Iowa. Spent a lot of time in visiting Napa, and so I got to know a lot of wines. So we did a lot of traveling to Napa and Sonoma and all those valleys out there. So I got to know wine and always wondered who in the heck has the capability, or who has these vineyards, or how do you even get into it? That thought always crossed my mind, but I never dreamt that it would fall in my lap. So once I went through my practice marriage and got divorced, and I came down and married basically love of my life. I've been very fortunate. I've been blessed. Met Ray and a long time ago, actually, we were introduced before I ever got out of college, and we walked the aisle together at my brother's wedding, and as a groomsman and bridesmaid. So they tried to introduce us then, but that didn't stick at that time. I was just a young peon then, apparently. But it stuck. It stuck when I came back down after we both went through our practice marriages, and came down doing carpentry work for a doctor, and he had this little 99 plant vineyard. And he did all the research on Blanc de Bois. He went to Florida A&M and visited with them. Bought I don't know how many plants, but he ended up having 99 at the time when I was there, and doing this work. And they're 8-year-old vines at the time, back in 2011. And me and my brother were working and talking with them, and he's like, I'm taking a job in El Paso. He goes, I'm just going to either plow them under or else just let them die. So he goes, if you want them, come and dig them up when they're dormant. You can take the posts, the irrigation, take take my winemaking equipment. You can just have it.
Holy cow.
So at that point, I'm like, what the heck?
It sounds like a country song. I'm sorry.
It is. It worked out really good, though. It didn't, I don't have to play it backwards on this one. But the thing is he gave those to me. My brother and I transplanted everything. I gave him a whopping $200 or $250 for all that.
Holy
because
cow.
I wasn't in the market for it. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't even know whether they'd grow out here. So I brought them over, and out of 99 8-year-old vines, we had 98 that survived. So what we did is we promoted root growth the first year. Second year, we let them grow and grow grapes, and we actually sold our first harvest that we got to Terra at the time.
Okay.
And then after that, we decided, all these wineries, if we looked around, we'd travel around with other people, and we'd travel to all these wineries and see that there's very few that can grow all their own grapes. And I always thought that all the grapes came from the wineries. Well, that's not the case necessarily. To have a big variety of wines, you can't typically grow all your grapes. So we thought, let's do some wine research, and went to as many wineries as we could, saw what we liked, what we didn't like. I wrote down a lot of notes, and we came up with what I feel like the best of the best, and I just wouldn't settle for anything less than what I felt was the best, and so we started the winery in 2015, and by the grace of God, I tell you, we've just been blessed that all of that was thrown into our laps. We've worked really hard. The thing I tell my girls that work for us, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is yes, we have to have good product, but the most important thing is when somebody walks through that door, you take care of them.
Right.
Best customer service. That is hands down one of the things that I push so much. You've been to many places, and if you don't have good customer service, it doesn't matter how good your product is.
You got the best product in the world.
And our product is fantastic, but then when you put it in place with the great customer service that our girls give, then it's just it's like a gym. When people find this out in the middle of the country, it's like it's a gym to find, because they want to come back.
Yep.
And it's all about enthusiasm. If somebody comes to the door and you're like, hey, let me tell you, boom. And
absolutely.
Then, well, what do we try? And then you say, what do you like? And then you take it from there. Mm-hmm. And you're exactly right, because, we came in there that day, sat in the corner, bang. We saw what was going on. We had the customer service. I love the way you guys do your sampling.
Well, I appreciate it.
Instead of the little shot glasses?
Yes. You're going to see that here. Except on our King P, if you get a glass of that, it's 3-ounce little shot glass, but we tell people not to shoot it because it's really not a shooter.
So, awesome. So you found somebody who had a whole bunch of vines. You dug them up. You got a whole bunch of equipment. But what did you do before you did this? What was your line of work?
Oh, my gosh. What haven't I done? I went to school to be a teacher.
Okay.
Never taught a day in my life. Best thing I ever did is I decided not to. But
you're teaching now.
I love kids. So I'll get that set straight. I do love kids. I love working with kids. But I went to school to be a teacher and a coach. But I actually got into programming. I was a programmer. Never took a computer course in my life leading up to that. I didn't even know how to log into a computer, and I sold myself on that because of programming's basically like carpentry work. You have to go to meet your customer and sell yourself and know what kind of product they want built, and same thing except in language. So learned how to do that, but did that for like 17 years. Then did carpentry work, and that's how I got down here. I was doing carpentry work and still do it. Actually, let me rephrase that. I still did it up until about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think I've maybe officially gotten retired from my carpentry work. That now I'm just going 100% winery, so that's my goal.
That's awesome. We've always started somewhere in life. Like previously, my life, I actually built offshore oil rigs before coming into IT, and then I started doing IT stuff. And then got into IT, and now here I am. I'm going into the wine industry. We all have a story why we did this. And obviously, you sounds like you're a jack of all trades, master of none.
Oh, yeah. Oh, master of all. Come on now.
And then you found your passion into wine, and you converted over, and that's awesome. I love hearing that kind of stories because, that inspires me still. I love hearing stories like that. So, But so how did you end up finding this place? This is a really amazing place.
Yeah, when I got down here and married Ray, one of the first things I did is I didn't want to live in town necessarily. I got her daughter, and we went around looking for different acreages outside of town or right around town. And actually, her daughter, Mackenzie, which is the third P, she ended up really being instrumental in helping me pick out this piece of property. And Ray gave the approval, and then from there we built my dream home. I've always wanted to have a log house, and so basically with my practice marriage, I ended up being all right enough to be able to afford to get the log house.
So instead of calling it a practice marriage, call it a mulligan.
A mulligan.
Yeah, it's a mulligan.
There you go.
It sounds more professional.
Yeah, exactly. But you're only allowed one mulligan, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want my wife to have any more mulligans, so
yeah, we get one mulligan, we get one mistake, and then we have real life.
There you go.
Well, it depends on what tour you're on.
So you got this out here, you got it all situated, and you finally got your passion. And so how many acres did you actually start off with? I mean, you said you had 90 vines at first, and you sold most of those to Tara. So what really made you say, hey, I want to do this?
No, we sold the grapes to, I mean, just the
fruit.
The fruit, yeah. Man. Well, we have 12 acres out on the property. Only about 2.5 acres are planted. Now, we did have to tear out our biggest vineyard, and we replanted that just a bit ago within the last 3 weeks. And I'm excited to talk about that here in a bit.
Okay.
But the
cigar smoke.
I know it smells pretty darn good.
Kind of like stop.
Maybe I should stop and get one for us. Huh?
We take our break. You mean take care of that?
No. Rephrase that question. Let me answer that again.
So you started that with 90 vines.
Yep.
And then, what made you say, I don't want to sell these. I want to actually turn these into wine myself.
Yeah, okay. Now, that basically what happened was after we did sell them, we realized we went and traveling with another couple, and all we did is we hit wineries, as many wineries as we possibly could, just to see what they did. And that was really the turning point on what made me want to do a winery as opposed to just growing and selling. Because, I mean, to have this few of grapes, this is a very little amount in comparison to what if you're really going to want to make money off of grape growing, you got to have a lot of acreage on that. So it wasn't really a thing that was going to make money. But I was intrigued with the fact that we had enough grapes that we could actually start a winery and be able to source grapes from other places in the state. And that was our goal, is to try to source everything from the state, but if we always said that if there was a hard time when we had maybe a bad drought and there was no harvest out there and we couldn't get grapes, then what are you going to do? You either close down or you have to source from somewhere else just to stay afloat. And that was one of the things that we decided that for that reason, that's why we'd, unless we couldn't get something, specifically from Texas. But no, we traveled around and once we saw how other wineries were doing things, we said, we can do this. And like I say, taking the best of the best and ideas and building upon those, that was key. And then once we got it started, I mean, to see the customers come in, that was my goal. I didn't want to be in stores necessarily. I want people to come out here. I want to be able to talk to the people.
Yeah.
I want to be able to educate them on the the different wines.
Right.
I want to be able to see and talk to them about how to taste wine, how to, what you're tasting and a lot of times you go to a store and you just buy something and
Exactly.
And you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah. It's
you never hear feedback from that.
You never hear feedback from that. One of the things that I love about talking about wine, and people's actually told me my passion for wine is really there. And I love teaching people who don't understand how to drink wine properly, or they when they try to drink wine, they're given a really heavy, dry red wine, and they get turned off to it. And so I love teaching people how to actually drink wine and, how to actually judge the wine by swirling it and by actually looking at the legs and by smelling it properly. In fact, actually, one of my favorite things is when somebody comes in here, I'll even do it with you. Let's see if you get this answer right. So here's the test for you. What is the first thing you do before you eat?
Pray.
I mean, okay, true. But man, literally.
No, I smell.
You smell your
Always
food.
smell.
Always smell your
Absolutely,
food.
yeah.
Why do you smell your food? You smell your food because you want to know what you're smelling. So when you taste it, you'll be able to taste what you're smelling.
Right.
And so that's what I explained to them about wine. You do the same thing with your wine. You want to smell it. You want to know what you're about to drink, because when you do that, then you'll understand the complexity of it. And when I tell people that, they literally stop and think about that. I've never thought about that. And that's one of the things I love about doing with wine. And it's fun. It's fun to educate people.
Oh, absolutely. Where I thought you were going to go with this just a bit ago was that you get the people that come in when they try a big red wine that absolutely don't like it.
Yeah.
I was that person. Years ago, back in my practice marriage up in Iowa, I hated red wine with a passion. One of my oldest brother would wine and dine people all over the world with his business, and he'd always have top-notch red wine. And every time we were together, it seemed like, you got to try this great red wine. Oh, it's so juicy, so fruity, and so, it has some sweetness to it. Every time I tried it, cotton mouth, and it tasted like dirt.
Yep.
And I was like, how can you guys drink this stuff?
Yep.
Well, then I went to a wine tasting class, and red wine night came, and I put my heels down and I was not going to go. It's like, there is not a red wine worth drinking. And so I said, the heck with it. I'm not going to go into this thing. And my ex made me go, and which I'm glad, because we got there and I told the guy that was doing the wine tasting class, told him, I said, there's not one. There's no way you're going to convince me to like any of these. And so he's like, well, what is it you don't like? I mean, and I told him, I said, it gives me cotton mouth, and it gave me a real earthy dirt taste to it. He's like, well, how are you drinking it? He said, the first thing that I do is I just take a little sip. He goes, well, there's your problem. He goes, you're touching the tip of your tongue and the sides of your tongue with it. He goes, you're done.
Yep.
And so after that, he told me, get it up on top of my tongue and on top of the palate and taste that. And all of a sudden, you taste all that fruitiness and the sweetness from it that I never, ever tasted. Yep. I went from that night of that wine tasting, hating the red wines, to you give me the driest red wine you can find, because I found something, because somebody told me actually how to drink it. Right. Yep. And so I do that here with people when we do tastings, because I run into all the people that only like sweet wines. I usually ask them why, and we'll talk about it. And it's always coming down to the cotton mouth and the dirt taste. Yep. And so I've told them my experience with that, and you wouldn't believe how many times people have turned around that same person and ended up buying a bottle of our Tempranillo or our Cab Franc.
It's amazing, because what I tell them to do also is something similar to what you just said there. Is I'll tell them to take a little, after they smell it, take a very small sip and allow it to slide down the tongue. And when I say to do that, it blossoms. And I'm going to put that in air quotes.
Oh, yeah.
It allows the palate to blossom. And when they do that, they actually literally stop for just a moment. And you can literally see at that moment their tongue and their nose are actually communicating with each other. And they're like, oh, now I understand it. Now I get it.
So is this Schoolhouse Rock? I mean, what's going on here? Are we sing a song now? Drink your wine, you'll feel fine.
I like that. Drink your wine, you'll feel fine.
Should be on a T-shirt,
right?
Maybe a glass.
But I mean, it's amazing how when people. Oh yes. It's amazing how when people are not properly introduced to it, and when you teach them, how much they actually change. Their palate changes.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's one of the things I love about wine. I mean, because it changed me. I mean, it literally changed me.
Oh, it does. And the thing is you're like I tell people, even if you know our wines or you've been here a number of times, there's nothing wrong with going back and doing a tasting, because you never know when your palate's changing.
Right.
And because it's like food. Anytime you want to, you try food and somebody else made the same dish. It may taste totally different, and the same thing with wine.
Yeah.
It's winemakers make it totally different on each time. But you're drinking the gold medal Cab Franc.
I didn't even see the label or anything like that. I knew the minute he poured it in my glass, I'm like, oh, this is going to be it. And
I knew you were going to like that one.
A lot of chocolate right off the smell. And then when it hit my palate, my palate says, "Thank you, sir. May we have more?"
I'm sure I can find some more somewhere.
When you're talking about the red wines, I get that. I spent probably about 5 years in and out of Europe, and so the dry wines, everything. The first time I had a dry wine, I was like, what the? But I was educated over there because they pair it with a food.
Yes.
So it goes from there. So I'm a gigantic red fan. I can come back on anything that, some people spitting sawdust out of their mouth, and I'm like, oh, give me some of that.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're talking about, but it's about education and how you drink it.
Yep.
Exactly.
You have to be careful. You don't chug it down your throat. You've got to let everything pick it up, because a glass of wine is so intense.
It is.
And wherever you go, we tell people all the time, okay, you like a Tempranillo. Mm-hmm. So everywhere you go, try their Tempranillo, and we tell them it's going to be different.
Everyone.
It's going to be different. It's all about education, because I said, air, soil, time,
rain,
exactly,
everything.
A bug passed by, like literally the terroir. I mean, a bug that literally passed by.
So that's a good thing about Texas wines, because we all joke here in Texas, if you're listening outside the state, how funny our weather is. That affects a lot of things.
Exactly.
From the taste of your corn to your cotton to your wine. So, and what you're saying about education and bringing people in, and I get that, because do you want to be in a big box store? No. Because now you're with these other wines. You want people to come in and say, I heard about you. What have you got? Ooh, I love that. Bang, they can go out the door and carry it forward to the next person, because what do they say about good news? 99 people, and all that good stuff.
Exactly.
So you've got that going on.
Yeah.
And with Will, when we go around and do things like this, and with the podcast, that's what people want.
Yeah.
Is they have a product, yes, but they want people to they want people to try it. Then it goes from there. They're not worried about, Los Angeles, St. Louis, or wherever like that.
Right.
And I love that about when we came out here. I told Glenda when we came out, I said, this is we're coming back. This is our spot.
And I'm glad you did.
I'm just going to say this, Cab Franc.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
I've already actually asked it to marry me now. So I think we're going to have a wedding out here. Me and this Cab Franc, we're going to have a wedding out here. I mean, I was told by multiple people that y'all's Cab Franc out here was amazing. And I'm not taking away from all the other Cab Francs I've had out there. Because, I mean, Michael Barton's Cab Franc. Have you had that one?
Can't say that I have.
Oh, man. I mean, y'all's literally rank, in my book, y'all's rank right there with him.
Oh, great.
And Michael Barton is an amazing winemaker. And if you've not ever met him or gone to his winery, go and check him out.
I've got to do it.
It's just his spot that he has out there is just amazing. And he loves to share also just as much. But, I mean, your Cab Franc ranks right there next to his with me. Like, even Kelton.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, but, okay, so we got you going here. We got your winemaking and stuff like that. So what kind of challenges have you experienced doing this?
My gosh, lots of challenges. We just dealt with crown gall disease.
Oh, man.
And I think we probably had that for about 2 years or 3 years maybe. Harvests have been terrible. All this was thrown in my lap, so I'm learning as I go. All of our wines are done by mine and my brother's palate, how we decide where we want them to be. But as far as the growing on the vines, we had no idea what we're doing. Thank goodness for Texas A&M Ag Extension. They with Michael Cook. He's fantastic. Oh my gosh, I couldn't do it without him. And but
have him out here.
Oh my gosh. he has helped me out so much. But that's been my biggest hurdle I've come across is the diseases that we face in our vineyards. Now, we did tear out our big vineyard, as I spoke of earlier, and we did plant 2 new varieties from UC Davis, Andy Walker varieties.
Really?
One's I'm going to pronounce them wrong, I'm sure, but Cabernet Noir. Which will be a red. And we planted 270 plants of that, and then 270 plants of Ambulo Blanc, which is supposed to be like a Sauvignon Blanc, but both of those are Pierce disease resistant.
Yes.
And so we tore out a big vineyard, separated that in half with those 2, and then we're going to struggle through this year with the little vineyard with the Blanc de Bois, see how it works out, but it has crown gall as well.
Yeah.
So we'll probably try to replant that with Blanc de Bois this next year.
Okay. We recently went out to a place in Cleburne called Stone Trough.
Okay.
And he actually had something that was really interesting, and I never thought about this. It was called regenerative growing, where he would plant things that each one helped each other.
Wow.
I know it was the craziest thing. Like, he would plant the vines, and then he'll plant something in the middle that would complement the vines. And then he'll plant something on between those vines and that right there to complement what he was growing there. So it was actually really interesting, and he said it kind of helped with the diseases on those vines. So, you might want to check into that a little bit. It was actually kind of a cool little thing that he was offering up.
Yeah, that sounds neat. I hadn't heard of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually it's becoming a big thing nowadays. Oh.
Ching ching.
Oh, you can't toast on empty glass. You know that, right?
I know. I'm working on trying to reach it. They're out of my reach, unfortunately. You think you can hand me that one? This is a sad day when I can't reach my wine.
Is that where you say, "Help! I've fallen. I can't reach my wine"?
Absolutely.
Someone used to say that.
I could have called my wife to tell her to get it for me, even though it's only 2 feet out of my reach.
That would have been hilarious. I would love to see that look on her faces when you did that.
Oh, I've seen that look. She's like, really?
Oh, man.
Texas girl.
Right. So,
Sweet thing.
You got your vines growing here. You finally figured out your calling when it comes to growing the vines. But you said also you had no education at all whatsoever in winemaking also. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So what did you start with little carboys and figure it out from there, or you just went big or go home?
You know what? Actually, where I did learn a little bit about winemaking, and I hate telling people this because I don't want them to think that we use kits here. We don't. We never would at a winery.
I would not judge you.
A long time ago, I had another doctor acquaintance that he was known around this town. His name was Dr. Bowles, and he was the king of winemaking kits, and everybody, if they were ever offered a bottle of Dr. Bowles' wine, they just absolutely would. They flocked for it. They loved it, and so he and I we started a wine club together and got about 4 or 5 other doctors and a couple attorneys and stuff that we started making all these wine kits, and then we do blending parties. And so we'd meet at each other's houses, every couple months when we had the wines ready, and we'd come up with a certain blend that we were going to do, whether it was a West Bank or whatever blend. And so we'd all bring our own meat. So that kind of led to our BYOM here.
Okay.
But everybody would bring their own meat, and we'd grill it and fix or have sides brought and stuff. But we'd blend our wines, and it looked like the biggest hillbilly. It had to be totally backwoods what would you call it?
Do I insert the Dooley Banjos in the background?
You would have thought that they would have been there. Oh my gosh! I don't know. I was like, oh my gosh! If somebody walked in, some kind of police officer or something, they would have had us up in jail for probably all. I thought with all the carboys of wine that we were blending together. They probably thought we had a big steal going, but no, it was fun. That's where we did actually learn how to make some of the wines and kind of play around with different blends and stuff. So, but that was a good time. But that wasn't true winemaking. It just told you how to do everything, and it was just kit. Right. But then I learned some great skills from other winemakers all around East Texas, North Texas. I've met with a lot of winemakers, and they've been very helpful about nobody's about trying to necessarily keep secrets too much.
Oh, and one of the things I always say about Texas wines that I love is how we want to share everything with everybody. We don't keep it all together. And I'm not trying to bash California or anything like that.
Right.
But a lot of times you don't hear about them sharing the wine secrets over there in California. But here in Texas, we're like, we don't care. You're over in East Texas, okay, your grapes going to be different than my grapes over here. But we'll give you a general idea.
Absolutely.
So of all the people that mentored you into this wine industry, which one's your favorite one?
Which wine?
Which mentor?
Which mentor?
Yeah.
Well, I have a story that I'm going to tell you from California that taught me one of my biggest lessons, and so I have a big respect for this person, and I don't even know his name, but it was from Silver Oak Winery. One of my favorite Cabernet Sauvignons. I was over there one time, and this is my practice marriage. And we went out there and we were doing the tasting, and it happened to be during one of their releases. And they had all their winemakers in the tasting room at the time. And I was telling the guy, I said, oh man, all of our wines in Iowa suck. Compared, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, you guys have the best cab I've ever had, but there's nothing that comes close in Iowa. And I said none of them taste like your cabs or any cabs. And this is before I had any idea. I wasn't knowledgeable on grapes and stuff. But the guy actually set me aside, and he goes, you know what? I'm going to tell you one thing. He goes, you have some fantastic winemakers in Iowa. He goes, they make the best quality wines. You have people come from Iowa State, University of Iowa, that are big-time chemists that have done very well on making wines, and they're making the best wines possible out of those grapes that they grow, because they grow totally different grape varieties. And he goes, I encourage you to go back to Iowa. He wasn't telling me to get out of his state, but he was like, go back to Iowa and then try those wines for the type of grape that you're producing, because you can't expect a red grape just because it's red to taste like a Cabernet Sauvignon from Silver Oak. Right. So that was the best lesson I ever got, because that made me think, even when I started doing grapes and stuff down here, that people need to understand that if you think I'm gonna have my Cab Franc's gonna taste like a Cab Sav, of Silver Oaks or something like that. It's not. It's totally different grape variety, and there's more to it. And like we talked about the soil, everything. It's totally different. Yeah. You're going to have different characteristics, regardless of what grape variety you have. So that guy really taught me a lot on that and set me in my place. And so now when I go to other states and even in this state, I go and I taste the wine for quality. I may not like it, but you can tell if it's a quality wine or not. Right. And so I don't want to ever judge somebody based on the fact that, they're in Texas or they're in Kentucky or Tennessee or Iowa or whatever, because they may make a dang good wine based on the grape variety that they have.
And different states have different grapes. Obviously, they
absolutely.
Grow. And I know that from my class recently at Grayson, like Missouri, like there are a lot of Muscat and Muscadine grapes there, and that's what they're really good at making. You know, where you come here, the Muscat Muscadine grapes are okay. I mean, I've had a couple of Muscat and Muscadine grape wines, and they were okay. I mean, were they my favorites? No, I wouldn't put them on my shelf to drink them. But from what I've been told multiple times, that state is really good at making it because why? That's what grows there abundant for them. So you make your wine according to what you can grow there. And I guess that's one of the reasons why Texas is such great when it comes to winemaking, because we can grow just about any kind of varietal out there,
and more than what most states can.
Yes, and even some stuff that there's a winery out there or a vineyard out there growing one that I've never heard of before, and I can't even remember the name of it now, but I know California's not growing it because I looked it up, and the only place they find it was over in Europe. And I'm like, this is really interesting. What if we actually start growing this stuff and we get our name because of that grape? Or let me rephrase that varietal. So it's definitely interesting, you know, when it comes to winemaking. You know, we have our mentors and stuff. So you got that guy from Silver Oak. So what about Texas? Who are your mentors here in Texas that you call when you have a problem? Who are your favorite ones?
If I have a problem ever, I call Jason Dotson from Landon. He's I mean, Jason and Glenn over there, they're unbelievable, and they help me out a ton. You know,
Jason's very honest too.
Yeah.
He's very brutal.
Jason's scared away.
I'm telling you
Don't
what.
ask him his opinion and not take it.
Yeah. So that's my end with Bingham. How's that?
Hey, you know
Thanks,
what?
Marissa. But no, I love working with Jason and Glenn over there. John Crawl out of Enoch Stomp. I'll call him, and you have no idea. I've talked to him numerous times on our Blanc de Bois. You know, if we have any issues or whatever, right. and he is so willing to. I mean, he'll write me books on a text, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're talking way over my head half the time, but he will help me out anytime. So he's a great one. Definitely want to mention Daniel Fears out of White Fox. Just north of us in Murchison. He's a fantastic winemaker. He's done more double golds on his blueberry wines. I know he does different varieties. He does a fantastic blueberry wine, and he had a dry muscadine. That I've never had a dry muscadine.
Okay, you said dry muscadine.
Yes, a dry white muscadine,
okay.
It's an oxymoron, isn't it? It's like, this can't be happening. But
if you're a Texas native and you hear that, it's like, what?
Oh, yeah. No, he usually had sweet wines, but boy, his dry white Texas muscadine was fantastic. It's something I've never had before, and my gosh, you had the muscadine flavor, but it was 100% dry, and it was
interesting.
It was unbelievable.
You said this is White Fox?
Is a White Fox, yes.
Okay, I'm going to have to put that on my list.
Yeah. Daniel Fears he's a super nice guy. You know, his wife will come and work here at our tasting room to help us out every once in a while.
That's cool.
Sarah, I got to call out for Sarah. She's awesome. But I mean, we just have a close knit group of wineries around here that I call on. Rip Cunningham out of Green Goat. Talked to him numerous times on things. So
Green Goat, okay.
But my main ones have been mainly Jason and John Crawl.
But see, you nailed it on the head right there, because anybody listening, once again, outside the state, in Texas wines or whatever, but they hear you almost echo what other people said, how the Texas wine community is like, hey, man, you need
we
a
work
backhoe,
together.
You need a bulldozer, you need a ice, you need a tank, you need a stump.
Right.
And they're willing to come through because everybody knows it's a craft. Everybody knows that we in Texas have a product, and then it becomes your product or her product or ABC's product, but it's still Texas wine. Get us out there. Say, You've got to try this, and I believe through the podcast that people are slowly getting educated, like you were saying. Chug, no, you have to understand what it's all about. And what you're just saying, man, it's just so awesome because you are very enthusiastic because it's a craft and you're passionate about it. And that's what it's all about when you come out to the vineyards in Texas. Either they make the wine there or not. And this is once again going out to those that are listening. You got to try it. You've got to find a product and it'll knock your socks off.
Yeah. You know, winemaking is actually an art.
Oh, it is.
It's an art because, I mean, you get a grape, or rephrase that, you get a varietal, and you literally have a slate. But you only get one shot at this artwork.
You're like a Picasso in a bottle.
Yes.
That's a Picasso.
You know,
okay.
One of the things...
Maybe that doesn't work. Picasso's kind of,
I think
don't cut your ear off.
There was a winemaker. I was reading an article about this winemaker about a year ago, and they asked him, how long have you been making wine? And he goes, well, I've only been doing it for 42 years. And they said, well, how old are you? And he says, well, I'm only 50 or some age like that. Yeah. And they're like, well, why is it so low? He goes, well, you only get one shot a year to make wine. I mean, you can't sit there and make wine all year long. You can't just take the grape and be like, oh, you know, I messed up. You can't reverse it. You've already started the process. You got to go forward with it.
Right.
And then in some cases, a lot of wineries make that happy accident.
Yeah.
You know, like Winter Grass, they were re-racking their Tempranillo and actually re-racked their Blanc de Bois with their Tempranillo and accidentally made a Tempranillo Blanc de Bois Rosé. Oh, my God.
It was good. That's, you know, those accidents sometimes turn out to be pretty good.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And so, you know, it's just amazing how we sit down and we get to call up the different winemakers and we ask for help and they were willing to help us out.
Right. Well, one of the things, you know, and I really feel stupid a lot of times, you know, in the winemaking community or whatever. You know, I'm so new at this and you could put what my knowledge in a thimble compared to some of these other guys and you know, I've been very fortunate. We've done a good job, I think, with the wines that we've made. I've had good help and you know, able to visit with other winemakers and that have helped me. But you know, we've been very blessed. I think it a lot of it comes back to, you know, what your palate is and knowing what you need to do to achieve getting it to that point. Yep. One of the things that we really pride ourselves, you know, we know our customers that come here. You know, we have Chardonnay customers. We have people that like our Porch Swing or our Blanc de Bois or Cab Franc or whatever. So sometimes when we're working on blending stuff or working on it, you know, my brother and I are pretty much the ones that do most of the blending and have this most of the say. Now my wife likes to get involved in it, but then she doesn't because she's like, well, you know, I don't have as good of a palate as you, whatever. So, but that's not necessarily the case. But so we'll get a group of the people that we know of our friends that like a specific one that we're working on and say, okay, we're going to be working on this night. We need you guys to come and let's sit around and let's talk about the different ones that we're blending and how we're doing it, which one, you know, hits your palate, you know, the right way or whatever. So we like to include some of our friends that are our customers as well.
Nice.
In when we are working on blends.
That's actually really fun to hear about that because I mean I've never actually really thought about that. I mean,
oh, you wouldn't believe how many volunteers I bet you get when I tell about it.
I bet you get quite a few on that. I mean, because who wouldn't want to come and drink out of the tank? I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, I really hate it when I have to do it too. You know, I really, really hate to
You're going to get your chance.
Damn it, Jim.
Oh man! But I mean, it's fun that you allow your members to be involved. Oh, this is just the regular Tempranillo, right?
Yeah, and this is probably one of the best ones we've done. So I hope you enjoy it. It is. Now, you know, honestly, I've always been a Cab Franc person and always claimed that I felt like I had the best Cab Franc in the state. Or one of the best anyway. The Tempranillo has never been one of my favorite grapes, But just recently, we finished up our last few cases of the Tempranillo that we were serving, and got to our latest release. And I hadn't really even, because I typically don't drink the Tempranillo as much, I hadn't even tried it. And then my brother came to me a couple weeks ago and said, "Have you tried the Tempranillo?" And so I had to get a glass of it, and I tried it, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's the best Tempranillo we've ever done."
Yeah, when we were visiting, that's what we took home.
Yeah, well, good.
So okay,
It
so
didn't last long.
right away, what I get right off the bat is I get a little fruit forwardness right off the bat. I mean, it's very subtle though, very 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 subtle, very jammy on the middle of it, and I'm like, holy cow, that is freaking amazing, and you know. And you get that little peppery right in the center of it. You know, it's kind of like on the weird palate of your tongue. And then the finish on it, it's just beautiful. That finish is just I don't even know how to explain it.
I love the jammy thing.
Yeah,
that's a jammy. What does that mean? I mean, well, you got to try it because
it's a big mouthfeel on that one.
I mean, like I said, we had to sample that.
Yeah.
Can we have a bottle of this?
Yeah, it's a big, full-bodied Tempranillo. You know,
really nice.
We have numerous wineries around that do a Tempranillo, but a lot of them, you know, I consider this a New World style Tempranillo in comparison to the Old World style that some of the other ones do. And I think and when I say that, and again, I am not an expert on this, but Old World style I look at as being a lot lighter, a lot more watery, not as heavy of a mouthfeel to it, not as bold and everything. But this one hits New World style to me.
I love the finish on this.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of Tempranillos where that finish on it was just, it was kind of like in your face finish. Mm-hmm. But this is very subtle. It's kind of like it whispers to you, that the little great whispers to you like, "Hey, how'd you like me? Do you want some more of me?"
I'll tell you what, it's just going to get better as it ages in that bottle too.
Good thing we don't have video.
Yeah.
Just not.
Oh no, his eyes.
Yes. So, you know, I love hearing what you got, how you got here. But where are you heading to? Where is your future at? Are you looking to have more property? Are you looking to have more estate wine, varietals here? Are you looking to expand? What is your future here?
Well, like you said, you know, I've tried to get out of my carpentry business. That was one of my you know, I've had two businesses going at once with carpentry and the winery, and I worked 9 days a week basically, and I was just getting too worn out of that. So I'm pretty much trying to just get it down to where I just do the winery now. I am doing a little carpentry work for myself, which is building a little cabin for a rental here for the winery, but basically, as far as for the winery, I'm looking at trying to get this new vineyard going with the two new varieties. See how those go. I have about 2 acres in the back of my property that I do have cleared, and I have it set up for irrigation. Has been on my bucket list to plant something else out there.
Yeah.
But I wanted to try out these new UC Davis Andy Walker varieties here, and try those first. And then I built a new production building a couple years ago, back in COVID time frame, and thinking that, oh my gosh, I'm going to have more space than I even know what to do with.
Famous last words.
And now I have it so full of tanks and bottles, and I'm thinking, okay, I've got to get space for barrels, because if I'm going to expand the vineyard, I want to get some good reds out there that I can put into some barrels as well. And then when we source our reds from West Texas, I want to be able to get those into barrels and get those aging in barrels. So we have a lot on our plate coming up. It's just a matter of, I try to do things, where I don't want to be in debt all my life.
Right.
I want to be able to do it as the winery can pay for it, and
Right.
pretty much everything we've done, the winery has paid for everything. So we're taking it one step at a time.
Right.
A great general once said, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward. So, if you've got the eye on the prize, then when you reach that point and you enjoy the prize and just let everybody else come in, and then you get to brag. I mean, you really brag. Yeah. Okay, this is that and that. And back to education again.
Yeah.
What you guys do here really good.
Yeah. Well, we have fun. Now, one of the things that, that's big for my wife and I. We did this with the new vineyard and everything. Before we planted it, we tore out everything, all the posts, and redid the whole thing. I redisced everything. We had to put in all the new posts and run all the new wire and irrigation, and got the vines in. There's sitting in boxes, and so we called on a group of our people that we knew had green thumbs and that would want to help plant 550 grapevines. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that's key for us anyway, me and my wife, is we call her our vineyard chaplain.
Okay.
So it's a friend of ours that's actually the associate pastor at the Methodist Church, and so we have her on our staff as our vineyard chaplain. And so every time we do anything such as planting the vines,
Super.
She came out and did a big blessing before any vines got planted.
That's awesome.
Before we ever do a harvest, we start our morning off with her coming out, blessing the harvest, blessing the winery. When we built the winery, we had the winery blessed. It's just, that's a big part of our life, and big part of having a successful business is you got to have trust in God too on it, because
you're in the earth.
Absolutely.
It's an offering, so to speak.
Absolutely. So
that's awesome.
we have her included in everything we do. So
that is awesome. I mean, that's something I love about also the Texas wine industry is every winery has always incorporated God in somewhere into their winery. In fact, actually, Wintergrass, the winemaker there, used to be a pastor.
Oh, wow. Was he Baptist?
No.
Oh,
probably.
Okay. No, we had a whole discussion about that. I had to edit that part out because we had a full-on discussion about that.
We're not going to go there now.
We're not going to talk about that one. This is not the time or place for that one, but that is awesome that you got your eyes on the future. You know where you want to go to and what you want to end up at. Yeah,
we don't want to be the biggest. We want to be a far cry from the biggest. We just want to be one of the better ones around, or best. And if nothing else, I want people to remember when they come to 3P's, they're going to get good customer service. They're going to get good wine. That's good product and good customer service. What more can you want? I hope. Right. I mean, hopefully we succeed at that, and so far we have. Yeah. I mean, we've been doing well, I think.
Well, there's one question I forgot to ask at the very, very beginning, and I usually ask this, especially on names that I don't know how the name came about. How did 3P's come about?
3P's, okay. Well, we get that asked a lot, actually. The 3P's is actually our last names. So it's Priestley and Priestley. So Brett and Ray Priestley. Okay. And then Ray's daughter from her practice marriage is Mackenzie Parrish.
Okay.
So she was a P. So when that name came about, we were trying to figure out, once we decided that we were going to do a winery, we had the vines out there, and the first initial 98 vines or whatever that survived, and we're going through them and we're talking about it, and I know this sounds like a fairy tale, but this is actually a true story. We were walking through there, the three of us, and Mackenzie came up with we're talking about a name, and I was going to go off of Priestley. I was thinking, anything dealing with a priest or whatever. Right. Well, Kenzie didn't like that idea, and she's like, well, we're just like 3P's in a pod, or 3P's in a vine. So that's how it came up.
That's awesome.
And so she came up with the name, and now she hasn't taken a big part of the part in the winery, but she has been involved in it. She's worked at the winery and has helped out. She used to work for Republic National Distribution, which I thought I'd have an in doing that if I wanted to,
Right.
but I really didn't want to get into distributing or distribution on our products. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Man, I love hearing the stories where the name came from, you know?
Yeah.
So we're coming to the end this first segment here. And so is there anything just that you want to talk to about the people out there that listens to this podcast about your winery? Is there something that you really want to talk about that's just you really want to hit up that people need to know or want to know about you?
Well, again, it all falls back on the fact that I'm not big on trying to be the biggest or whatever. I just want to make sure that when people come in, we want them to have the experience that they want. It's not about me having the experience I want, because I have the experience I want every day. I'm getting to meet people. I have more wine friends than I never dreamt of having. I would have never met 99% of the people that I've met if it hadn't been for this winery. I love the fact that when people come in the door, I get to meet everybody. I try to get over to everybody's table and talk, if I'm there. And
you smell like deed.
Yeah. And I did. And the day you came in,
It's a side story, folks.
Yeah, it is a side story. I smelled like Cutter mosquito spray, and I didn't want. I was trying to stay away from everybody's table that day that you came in, and I was talking to them from a distance and trying to keep my distance and say, I smell like Cutter spray. I don't want to mess up the taste of your wine or anything. Yeah, that was. But no, I typically like to get over to everybody's table and introduce myself, and my wife is very good about introducing herself and stuff, and even if we aren't here, our staff, you can ask them any questions, and they're so good about the customer service. That is my big thing. So I just want to keep being that little gem, in East Texas that people, hopefully they'll start knowing about more and more. I just know that from the time we began to the time we are, or where we are now, it's just amazing the traffic we get from Dallas, Houston, Austin, Shreveport. We have a great local crowd that comes. We do some fun events out here. Our BYOM is one of my favorite events that we do.
I'm going to try to take advantage of that.
Yeah. And if anybody doesn't know about BYOM, it's bring your own meat. We do charge $10 per person on that, but we provide baked potatoes and loose leaf salad and all the fixings and stuff. You grill your own meat. We provide all the tableware and everything, but you have to have a reservation for it. So
that sounds
but it's
fun.
Once a month. It's the place is totally packed. We're usually booked at least a month, if not 2 months in advance on it.
I've already been online.
There's not a seat in the place that's available. So
nice. That's always a great feeling when you have a full like that.
It's good. But no, we just our big thing is we want to make people happy and let them have the experience that they want to have. We want them to enjoy all the wines. I as a winemaker, I've learned that even though I like every wine or like most of them, there's some that I like better than others.
Right.
And I let people know that, this is my favorite or this is probably my least favorite. But, everybody's palate's different. And so sometimes, you have people that come in that just like sweet wines. I have a couple of those, and I try to educate them on other wines so they at least test their palate out a little bit. But I want people to understand that it's not a bad thing if they don't care for every wine. You're not going to hurt a winemaker's feelings because not everybody's going to have as good of a palate as mine.
Right. Exactly.
That was a joke. That was a joke, but you didn't fall for it.
You know,
no, you just played along with it.
Actually,
That was a
that's
joke.
pretty cool.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to say every winemaker says the palate is amazing. So, I mean, I'm just going to say that.
I will say that not everybody's going to like every wine, but the best compliment I have ever gotten is when people come in and they've been skeptical about coming in, and they said, I came in here with low expectations, but there wasn't one wine that I tried that I wouldn't have bought a bottle.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so that, to me,
5 stars.
that is that's probably the best compliment you can give any
Right.
winemaker.
Heck with the Google reviews, heck with the Yelp
Yeah.
reviews, that right there, that
Yeah.
verbal confirmation is what does it
Right,
for you.
right.
Yeah. So obviously you said you have a wine club membership. So kind of explain that to everybody.
We do not at this
Oh, you
point.
do not?
No, we do not, unfortunately. And that's been kind of a subject that we've been talking about for a couple of years. My wife retired, semi-retired, and that was her goal, that we were going to get her working on a wine club, and we still have not got that totally 100% going. It's going to be going hopefully fairly soon. The problem we're running into at this point is we have to make sure that we want the wine club to be something that everybody's going to be excited about. I don't want to just have the run of the mill wine club. I want to have something where people have some choices, and not saying that some of them don't. It's just that I don't want to jump into a wine club and promise somebody something and then
Under or over.
them not getting what they were expecting or whatever. My whole goal is that when we do things, we take them one step at a time. We don't jump into something before doing enough research and trying to make sure that we're doing the best of the best that we can. Well, and I want a wine club, and this is what we've been going around and around on, and why we haven't gotten a wine club yet. I want to be able to produce something special for the wine club and only the wine club, as opposed to that, everybody that just comes in can get the same thing, because
That's a good point.
because you want to make it a
club.
special thing.
Yeah.
And then after wine club, after you've done that particular wine club for that quarter or whatever, then maybe free up those bottles for something else later. But I need to come up with that, and now that we have the tanks and availability, and we're learning more about winemaking, I feel like I'm getting closer to getting that going, and everybody gets on me about the fact that why do we not have it? I mean, that's guaranteed money coming in all the time, but it's like, yeah, I could jump into that and just guarantee myself that money, and I'm not a person that's money driven necessarily. Right. I wish I had more, and I don't. But the thing is if you're just strictly money driven, and that's not the way I operate.
Right. Does that not go back to what you were talking about? Quality, customer service.
Absolutely.
So
when we
can just chunk something out there.
When we try to do something, we want to try to do it the best we can, and
that's good.
Think it through first before, and then I want people to walk out of here saying, "Wow."
Yeah. Awesome.
So that's why we haven't done it yet.
Okay. I commend you wanting to make sure you get the best for your members. That's awesome that you want to do that.
Yeah.
Finding a local, just throw this out there, finding a local distillery that you can get a wet barrel that's been bourbon or whiskey or something like that, and use that.
There's a lot of people out there that like that.
Yeah. In fact, I actually talked to Marker Cellar. Marker Cellar does that with the distillery right next to them, and it is pretty amazing with their Lightning Cab. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. So, so how can people find y'all? I mean, where can they go online to find y'all? Where can they find you also at your location?
Yeah, we can be found online on our website is www.3 P S like 3p's INAVINE.com. So 3p's in a vine.com. And then on Facebook, we can be found, and we do a lot of messaging on that. Get a lot of requests for BYOM or just anything. So we try to monitor our Facebook quite a bit on that. I give a lot of people my cell phone number, and if they need to call me and need to get a pick up some wine during the week, and even if we're not open, a lot of times I'll have them do that. But otherwise, we're in Athens, Texas, and just look us up on basically all the searches will find us.
You're on Google Maps, trust me.
Yeah, we are on Google, TripAdvisor. So
Bunny Rabbit Drive.
Yeah. Well, just off of that, yeah.
Nice. So, we're going to go ahead and close off this first part of the episode here. We're going to take a little small break, and we'll come back with some education.
All right. Sounds great.
All right.
Hey, this is Jeff Cope from TexasWineLover.com. We're here with Will, Michael, and Jen from We Know Texas, We Know.
And this is Amy Nemec with the Texas Wine Lover mobile app. We're wrapping up the interview and moving into the wine education portion of the episode, so stick with us.
Welcome back, everybody. We are doing We Know Texas, We Know here at 3p's in a Vine in Athens, Texas. And we have Brett sitting here with us, and he actually just took us into his production room to show us what he's got coming up, and which was so amazing. But in this part here, we do about education. So one of the things we want to talk about today is bricks. And when we talk about bricks, we're not talking about like the bricks that you build a house, but bricks as into figuring how much sugar content is in your grapes to figure out how much alcohol goes into it. So if you would tell us, since you are the winemaker here, explain to our listeners what a brick is.
Well, the brick is the sugar content of the grapes, and how we roughly figure out how much alcohol content is going to be in a bottle of wine, or each varietal that we have, based on the number of bricks. If we have 22 bricks when we pick the grapes, mm-hmm. then we figure, it's 50% or half, divide that in half, and that gives you roughly the percentage of alcohol if you ferment down to 100%. So at 22 bricks, you're going to get 11% alcohol in a wine.
Awesome. And a lot of people don't really understand that. And then there's going to be those times where your bricks are not where you want it to be, so you do what we call back sugaring.
Right.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that pretty much any wine that you do, if you to get the alcohol content, you go ahead and ferment it down to 100% fermented, and take it down to 0 bricks or whatever. Say you start out with 22 bricks, and you take it down, fermented 100%, then you're going to be at 11% alcohol. But if you want to bump up the alcohol percentage, then you can add sugar at the
right.
When you're fermenting, and then bring it up to 28 bricks or whatever, and then ferment it on down, so you get a higher alcohol percentage out of it.
Right.
But then actually, every wine that we do anyway, we go ahead and do 100% fermentation and get it, eat up all that sugar in there until it's 100% fermented. Then, if we want it to be a off dry or a semi-sweet or a sweet wine, then we do have to back sweeten it with a simple syrup. We use simple syrup. Okay. We just do a 1-to-1 ratio with sugar and water, and boil it down and add that amount of sugar to our wine in order to bring back some of that sweetness to it. But
okay. So, let's say this is a perfect world. Okay, so we know it's not a perfect world, but in a perfect world, what is the ideal bricks that you want your grapes to be at when you're ready to harvest? What is the ideal bricks that you want it to be at?
Well, it totally depends on the grape varietal, of course, but because I mean, when you want to get like a Cab Sav or a Cab Franc, those are going to be picked at a different bricks level. But then, like, I'm more familiar with like our Blanc de Bois that we do, and I'm always looking for anywhere between 23 and 25, 26 bricks. Sometimes, I mean, that would be ultimate for me, 23, 24 bricks. So I'm at about 11 or 12% alcohol on that. But that works for me for the Blanc de Bois. Now, somebody that has a Cab Franc or Tempranillo or Cab Sav, they're going to look for a totally different brick number than to achieve what they want.
Okay, and it's good information because a lot of our listeners don't understand how winemakers figure out what kind of wine content they want in their wines. And so, they ask that question a lot. And I get that working in a winery. How does a winemaker figure out how much alcohol content is in a bottle? And so I try to explain to them the bricks. And again, for the listeners out there, bricks is not like bricks in a house, BRICKS. It is actually BRIX.
Correct.
And so, do you use a refractometer? Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
So, usually, typically, what you do is when you find that out, and you get a rough estimate from that, correct?
Correct.
So you crush the grape, you put it on it, and you kind of look up at it in the sun a little bit, and it kind of gives you a rough estimate where you're at there.
Yeah.
I've done that a couple of times myself, and it's actually, I don't know why it's fun.
It's a lot of fun. Actually, I had a girl that works for us. She's a 19-year-old college student at the time, and she was so excited. I took her out. I said, "Hop on the mule. We're going to go do a bricks test on the vineyard, and figure out when we're going to be picking this vineyard." And she thought it was the cat's meow. I mean, she was loving it, and she doesn't ever want it. She has no ambition to drink, so she's not actually going to help my industry very much. But she just doesn't have a desire to drink. But she sure had fun to go out and check the bricks. And so we took random tests all the way through the vineyard, so we get a pretty consistent test. So we picked from every corner of the vineyard, every in the middle portions, and try to get a good average, because you can't be each part of the vineyard really ripens at a different rate.
Right.
And she was so excited, and so we figured out we were at like 21 bricks, and we tested it the week before, and we were at maybe 17 or whatever, and she's like, "Okay, what are we trying to get at?" And I told her, maybe 23. And she goes, "Well, I think we can pick in the next week or so, right?" And so she is so excited to make that decision for us. So good job, Madison.
That's cool. Well, it's always fun learning about this stuff, and me coming into this, I'm learning everything about grape growing and figuring out when it's time to harvest and getting ready to do production and do your crushing and destemming and stuff. It's always fun to learn that kind of stuff. And that's what I want people to understand is, the work that goes behind it. But sometimes it's tedious work. But in the end, it pays off because you have an amazing bottle of wine right afterwards.
That is actually right. Yep.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for allowing us to come out here to do this episode with y'all. It was really, really fun. I do want to hit up real quick on a couple of our sponsors real quick. So a couple of our sponsors is our Texas Wine Lover. So if you ever try to go out and want to find a winery in your area, are you familiar with them?
Oh, absolutely. Jeff Cope.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Jeff
he's
is amazing.
A great guy.
But if you need to find a winery in your area, download this app and find it. You'll find every winery in Texas. And then you got Texas Wine Club, so you can go out there and get some of the best of the Texas wines out there. And then, of course, Fly with Wine. If you ever want to go overseas to Europe or New Zealand or even go to California and pick up wine, you can actually use a suitcase specifically made for shipping wine. Great little suitcase. And then, of course, we went into sponsorship with the wino guy, Andy Gonzalez. So he's a wine enthusiast. He does guided wine events, blind tastings, and deductive tasting guidelines, and so much more. So, again, I want to thank you for allowing us to come out here today. We had an amazing time out here just to sit and talk with you, and then also you show us the future, what you got coming up in your production room. So we do end our episodes with some quotes. Robert, are you ready for some of these quotes?
Man, I can't even see it because it's so small.
So one of the first quotes I've got here, it says, "Ask not what wine has done for you, but rather what you're willing to do for wine."
Oh my gosh! I just had a guy tonight that wanted to put aside a case of our Cab Franc, and he was like, "What can I do? Can I work for you? Can I work it off?" I'm like, "We're not on the barter system."
And then the last one we got here is, "Drinking good wine with good friends in good company is one of life's most civilized pleasures." That's from Michael Broadbent.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, and this is Will with We Know Texas Vino.
Hey, and this is Hutch.
We will talk to y'all later. Cheers.
Hey, we appreciate it.